What does it take to thrive in Hollywood? I'm Kate Save. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. In this episode, we chat with a talented Australian actress recognised for her role as Pepper Steiger on Neighbours and Hollywood films like Hall Pass and The Wedding Ringer. Nicky continues to captivate audiences with her diverse roles and inspires others with her dedication to health and fitness. Nicky Whelan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Well, you have had the most exciting career and I'm sure it's just life for you, but for everyone watching back in Australia, when you're out there in LA and you've been there 18 years now, It is just so inspiring. Tell us how you got started.
You know, I think it all started when I was quite young. Even when I was 4 or 5 years old, my mum would say I would always talk American around the house, and a lot of our programming back then in the 80s was American. So I was just obsessed with America and dancing, and Mum had me in ballet young. So my whole childhood was sort of performing, entertaining through school and stuff. So this is where I was very lucky, is it was always an organic thing that I felt was in me from a really small age. But because it was just part of me, it kind of rolled over into, you could call it manifesting, or sort of everything came to me because I was just so busy doing what I loved. And I remember around 14 or 15 having some goals from driving up to the city with Mum, and I was like, I'm going to be on that TV show, I want to be on that billboard. I would point things out with no sort of, just freely, like that's what I wanted to do. No filter.
That was you.
Yeah, which they say is how you sort of manifest, because to be honest with you, I wasn't great in school. I really struggled in school. I had to be moved around from schools. I wasn't an A-grade student, academic at all. I don't even have a great deal of skill in acting, but my passion and my obsession with this whole world somehow allowed me to get started in the business at such a young age.
And what I love about it is, from the outside, people think, oh, maybe she got lucky, but actually you've worked so hard for this, and it's never been off your mind. You've been driving towards this, manifesting it, but actually doing the work. I remember when we were very, very young, around 15, and you passed me a DVD and you said, okay, hold this, and you just started talking, and you were memorising the back of that DVD and reading it back to me in 30 seconds. I was like, how did she do that? And that is how I remember you working so hard, even as a teenager, towards these goals. So congratulations. But what is your proudest moment?
You know, to be honest with you, I've been over in LA for 18 years and I've made incredible content. I've worked with some of the best people in the business. I really have had a beautiful career. But the staying power, and what I've realised now at my age, being over there so long, is I can list a bunch of movies that I'm really proud of, or TV shows or experiences which have been breathtaking, but where I stand sort of now at this stage in my life is the thing I'm the most proud of is where I'm at health-wise and mental-wise, which is why we wanted to chat, because it's a really challenging business. It's glamorous and magnificent, but it comes with an incredible amount of uncertainty, unbalance, and that living in even another country with different diet, no family, no support system, and being in my business is incredibly challenging on your mind and health. And so I sit here at my age now in the business very content and calm, which is kind of, I feel like I've mastered to a certain degree, not everything. I've got so much work still to do, but my cortisol levels have dropped. I sit in a much healthier place, and it was through sort of so much trial and error and stress, and then and even coming home and working with you on my health, and sort of it brought me, my biggest accomplishment, to answer your question, is I'm quite at peace in my life where I'm at right now, and to be still immersed heavily in Hollywood and my business, but you know, to feel the way I feel has got to be my biggest accomplishment. This business has reflected enormous amounts of challenges for me on a personal level and on a professional, and it all reflected back on my personal growth and health, and I just feel like I've reached a place now which feels very, very good. And it has really nothing to do with my business, but more me. Do you know what I mean?
So it's the work of life. It's the work of building Nicky Whelan, not the business, but the person. The person that can actually survive that business that is so cutthroat, so demanding, and being in the spotlight must be hard. And because you can't make a mistake there. So actually processing that. And I know you love your alone time. So what are you doing when you're resetting? What are you doing?
You know, you always hear about this, the daily practice of everything, and I can't, if I was to ever share anything, advice that I've personally been through on my little journey, it's the daily practices. If I'm alone in my car for 3 or 4 hours driving, or on a plane for 15 hours, I will download as many as YouTube things as possible, manifesting things, great podcasts, Huberman, the whole gang. I am constantly feeding my brain, my peaceful time with information. And you know, over the years, when you do that more and more and more every day, I do my gratitude list in the morning. And I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it works, I've done gratitude list. You have to wake up, and you know, there is an incredible change in my life since waking up in the morning. As soon as my eyes are barely opening, hand on the heart, and I sit there for like maybe 5 minutes, I try to do before I touch my phone, of gratitude. That sets the frequency for the rest of my day. And even if the day doesn't go well and I fumble and stumble through the day, there's something about gratitude just to start you out. We all have something to be grateful at, no matter what level we're at. And when you feed that into your system over a long, long period of time, you set a foundation of authenticity to your ground level, you know, who you are.
Absolutely.
And it reflects on everything you do throughout the day. These practices don't just work for a couple of weeks. It is a daily practice I put myself through. That is how I start the day. And then obviously and we've just started working together with all your stuff as well, so getting into health, but that starts to reflect the frequency of my day and what comes in and out. And it's a lot of the time when I'm by myself, I always find it so important to be mindful of where your mind goes. Even in the shower, it's such a strange place. Next time you're in the shower, audit your thoughts.
Ooh.
Where's your brain going? A lot of the time we're in the shower going, I gotta do this and I gotta do that. That's a great time to cleanse yourself. Those little practices have been and in huge help to my sort of evolvement in my life and to get me where I'm at the moment. So
it sounds like you spend a lot of your time working, but equally as much of your time now actually working on yourself, and that is bringing out the best version of you, and that's something you're really proud of. Now, going back to, I guess, some of the challenges you've faced, what has, I guess, being alone over in Hollywood and living there is, you know, that's a lot to take on, and like the supports. What have been some of your big challenges? Because people see the glamour and the glitz and they just think you're lucky. They don't see the hard work behind all of this.
You know, life is hard. Just being human is hard, and evolving in wherever you statistically grew up, you will be challenged with what is in front of you, whether you're born into wealth, born into wherever we are. I was lucky to be born on the peninsula with a relatively great family and wonderful support system, but I still have massive, massive challenges. And that's why sort of in my business, the uncertainty, the consistency, safety, those big words were things I've really had to face and deal with. Being alone was a huge thing for me, but sort of being forced into a world where I had to, it's funny, my biggest fear was being alone, and I moved myself overseas. I couldn't be further away from my support system, and to be alone, that was one of my biggest challenges. The business itself is a roller coaster. I have an incredible organic resilience to my workplace, which was one of my good qualities that I've always had. But other things I had to face being over there and having to understand a system and constant rejection alone in itself, in your normal life, rejection is awful. Then to go into a field where 90% of your days are filled with no's, there's a way of having to challenge that. So there's been many, many lows and massive dips in my health just due to stress and stuff like that. So again, it goes back to your original question of biggest accomplishment is to get a little better handle on my mental health.
And what role does your overall health play in this journey and being able to fight this? And, you know, some of the key things that you've noticed, if you change X, what have you noticed improves?
So the daily practices, talking about that, my gut health, which
Yeah.
you've actually helped me with, which brought us, we've been friends for a long time, but a conversation that we've had. I'm in an environment with constantly processed food. America is genuinely a different food field to Australia.
Absolutely.
And access to really good quality food is insanely expensive, and I'm on the road, I'm like in a circus, so sometimes I'm in strange, bizarre places. An unhealthy gut creates an unhealthy mind, and I don't know why I'm only learning this now in my life. If I had just had this knowledge in my 20s, because your mind is what makes your decisions, and if this is unhealthy, this doesn't function. I need these two to work together, and now I'm doing a lot of heart work and a lot of meditation and doing the three of them. I just wish I could always give this advice to younger people who probably are like, nah, but that is where the key of manifesting, making better decisions in my business came from this circuit, my brain, my gut and my heart, and the practice. And I've got so many more years to learn about this stuff, but that's a huge part of this journey was that.
And it obviously helps. You live a very clean life. You don't drink alcohol, and you go to bed early. You've got really good habits. So congratulations on all of your success, and thank you so much for coming on Ticker. So we will be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.